You're listening to League Podcast, League versus Godzilla Minus One. I'm Matt Durson.
Konnichiwa. Onamae wa John desu.
John Des is back.
Clay Wild Zero Inferno here.
Is it because it's -1 and then you're 0?
No,
I figured it was the plane.
I could get into
I'm
it
such
later.
an idiot.
I could go back to the plane thing if you want.
Hey, you said it, not us.
Do it right now. Do the plane thing.
You sound so mad about it.
No, I'm not
Yes, I
mad.
am.
I'm mad at myself.
Embarrassed.
I forgot what Wild Zero referred to.
I thought it was the new version of Coca-Cola.
Which is delicious.
By the way, to go back to, we were talking off mic about our vast catalog of audio comics, which feature Marvel and DC, Gems, and Star Trek on our website under the audio tab.
Yes.
And non-Marvel and DC too.
Yeah.
Yes, that
John found some, but I want you guys to guess. I opened a Coke Zero before the show, and it had an Avenger on it. Guess which Avenger?
Spider-Man, because you did the voice of Spider-Man.
This was just a randomly in
Vision.
the Coke can. There could be a bunch in there.
A bunch?
Wrong. It was
Hawkeye and Captain America.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Hulk.
That was one of our first audio comics. Was a Hulk.
Yeah,
Hulk.
I think it was.
It was actually
second.
really good. Yeah, it was. That one's still great.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Sir, it is. I mean, what is that guy like? You got the wrong freak. That's the part I remember. Well, he'll chew you up like hamburger.
You feather brain foul up.
Anyway, yeah, so go listen to our audio comics. We did a Godzilla one, and you were afraid that Toho would tear it down.
Toho pulls everything down, and I guess they've gotten more lenient now. But now Warner Brothers or Legendary, I forget who is
right.
Like they get all up, and they'll take stuff down. Yeah,
they'll take it down.
So who the fuck knows? This will probably get taken down by everybody.
Right.
So. Much like a Kamikaze Zero plane, the Japanese Zero plane, that our hero, as he starts off the movie in one of these planes. But my band was called Wild Zero. You can stream us on Spotify. We're up there. Search for Wild Zero. But it kind of named after the plane, but mostly named after the Guitar Wolf movie Wild Zero, and their Japanese punk band. But they were called Japanese Zeros, the Kamikaze planes that our hero was flying in the beginning of the movie.
I read that those planes didn't have they were locked, or something. I don't know if this is true. You couldn't get out. Even
interesting.
I don't know if it's one of those things. It's on IMDb. It's in the goofs. A lot of that stuff is just horse shit. So I don't know, but.
Oh, come on, that's horse shit.
That's a bunch of horse shit.
Well, they did, when those pilots, they did swear that they would commit suicide.
Well, the other thing with those type of pilots, a lot of them were much like the character, didn't actually want to do it. But
not that into it.
Everybody had, but they're like, oh, got to save face. I don't want to be branded a coward, so I better go die.
You don't want to be sorry and ashamed.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, it is kind of this is one of the things that makes this movie so cool. I think you don't hear growing up in America, right? We didn't hear about what happened in Japan after World War II. It's you drop the bombs and that's it.
That's
we didn't care
with the way history is taught. It's this happened and then everything was fine afterwards. Yeah.
And then we just got into it with the Russians and communism. It's what happened in Japan? It never came up, ever.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't seen this movie, Godzilla Minus One, it is not only just probably the best Godzilla movie or one of, but it is just a great movie in general. I brought my wife, who is my wife, and she liked it, and she doesn't really she's not a huge Godzilla fan, but I said, this movie's great. And she really liked it. I think everybody should see this movie. It's weird to say that, but yeah.
Yeah, it's very good. Yes, it's very good.
Yes, it's very good.
Yes, it's very
But
good.
going back to what you said about history, like we didn't hear about like the Japanese internment camps or anything. And actually, I think
Yeah.
it was almost timed that by the time the school year rolled around in history, no matter what it was, you never got too close to the past 50 years. You know what I mean? They
Yeah,
would be like,
right.
yeah, and you all, even though it was past our time, they're like, yeah, we all landed on the moon and stuff. So then just
Right.
ask your parents about the rest. You know what I mean?
And then you'd start back
That's
over
kinda how
the
it was.
Revolutionary War.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. They'd be like, oh,
It's
American
like
history.
Egypt, then
Yeah.
then the Spanish Armada, then the Spanish Inquisition, then
At
Columbus.
least all that stuff isn't colored by. I mean, I don't know what they teach now as far as like, Plymouth Rock and Pilgrims and all that stuff. I think they probably just don't just cover over that.
Yes. Yeah,
It's
probably.
really because we were pretty shitty to them. So, but yeah, like this was just sort of an omission. I had no idea what happened in Japan, but man, if it was anything like this. So yeah, let's talk about this movie.
Yeah, let's get
First
into
of
it.
all, Minus One. I only learned today that the title, like they said that Japan basically started at 0 after World War II, and this after Godzilla came and destroyed Tokyo
made it
again,
worse. Yeah.
they were at -1. Yeah, like they were at less than 0 basically.
Yeah, it's
So-
like I heard someone describe it as like we would say like kick them back to the Stone Age, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
The original Japanese tagline was post-war Japan from 0 to minus is what it's. So yeah, so as the movie begins, as Clay mentioned, we were in the final days of World War II. There's an island off the coast. A plane lands. The pilot's kind of clearly not happy. This is our main hero, Kiyoshi Shikizawa. Sorry,
Yeah, you're
I've
pretty
already
close, I
fucked
think.
up his name.
That's all right.
Kiyoshi.
Yeah.
Shikishima. Yeah, so like he's like, oh, check the plane. He says something. So the mechanics all come and they check the plane and they're like, oh, we didn't find anything wrong with it. Yeah, basically, as you say, Clay, he was a kamikaze pilot that did not do his.
Didn't want a kamikaze.
Didn't want a kamikaze. Well, I'm just gonna say these are like the last days. Like the war is essentially over. Like even if you were a kamikaze, even if you were like, yes, I'm gonna do this, now it would be a total waste, right? Because you've basically lost the war already. I mean,
Right.
just not that you should kamikaze anyway. Like, like it's a bad idea.
don't go kamikaze waterfalls.
Yeah.
But what I was gonna say was I had mentioned to you guys that I was like, oh, I'm not like psyched about going to the theater to see this because of the subtitles. And then I mentioned that I watched a few minutes with the dub. And then when I was rewatching before this, I watched the whole thing with the dub, and the dub isn't bad.
Yeah, I
And
watched the
Right.
dub last night, and it's actually a pretty decent dub.
Yeah, and even like I think that I grew all of my Godzilla movies I ever watched were dubbed like growing up, and that's what we had like jokes with our friend Randy and stuff about like Gamera and all that. We need you from Doctor. We need you from Mahjong. It's like
Yeah, we used to get a
weird
huge
quickies
chuckle
that-
out of that. Out of
Yeah,
dub.
But this dub was pretty good. But also like you hear like specific stuff in the dialogue, like I think I think the oil is messed up or whatever. He tells the guy like a specific thing, like I think my confabulator's fucked up. So go check out the confabulators. Confabulators, all
Your
right. it's all right.
confabulator's pretty fabulous. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's insane.
that fab
Unless
is
you're some
bad.
sort of a pussy.
Well, I mean, they're all kind of like suspicious for sure, but they're like, So that night, Godzilla comes. There's this whole thing I like. So he's kind of like out, and he looks, and there's like these dead fish floating on the top of the water, and that's throughout the movie. That's sort of the sign. Oh, Godzilla's coming. But I like yeah, they're like, get a light on it. I don't know, for some reason I thought that in the dub version that was like a. But like this is different than a lot of Godzilla movies. We literally see him like right away.
Yeah, in the first 5 minutes, and he's
Yeah.
smaller. He's not
But
full size Godzilla.
He looks awesome. I mean,
He does look good. Yeah.
So
The
how
director
big
of
is he?
this, the director of this did this movie. I can't remember. It was like, I always want to call it It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, but that's not what it's called. But but he did this movie, and there's like a dream sequence in which this character is driving through a like a wrecked city, and then it pans over in Godzilla. It's like the first time they had ever done a CGI. Well, maybe it's not the first time, but it's like they did a CGI Godzilla that looks very similar in design to the Godzilla in this film. So
I think it's called Always Sunset on 3rd Street.
there we go.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
When I saw Sunset, I'm like, I think that's probably the one.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what. Sorry.
That's
my typical sort of MO for the podcast. I get it.
Sure. You're close.
Marginally correct.
So how big? So this, you say he's a little smaller. I mean,
He's
I don't
smaller,
He's
yeah,
50 feet tall.
Yeah, because then they do the atomic bomb testing later on in the film, and they cut to like a close up of his face,
bigger.
and he's getting irradiated, and that's when he grows to full size.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he comes. They're all like, "What the hell?"
And he is into chomping and throwing guys all around.
But I like it because this one of the mechanics that's there and at this base, he's like, I talked to the locals. It's Godzilla, and like, the guy. There's like this head mechanic guy, and he is an important character. But he's like, get in your plane and shoot at him. You got a 20 millimeter gun there. And so like Kyoichi goes to his plane, but he's afraid. Like he's still afraid. Like the plane is sort of like a trigger. Not pull the trigger, but trigger.
He needs some hymns. He's like a little bit like performance anxiety.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I mean it's a
block.
giant monster is attacking. I'm a little scared too. So the mechanics get out some rifles. No effect, obviously. Godzilla attacks them. I love it. Yeah, he like you said, he just chomps them and throws them like with his mouth.
Like a cat.
And then Kyoichi just runs, and then he kind of passes out. He sees him trashing the plane.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing he ran because Godzilla tosses the plane around too. Steps on dudes and kills pretty much everyone.
Well, yeah, he wakes up and it's morning and everyone's pretty much dead. But the one guy, the head guy, I should probably just get his name. Otherwise, I keep calling him the head guy. In my notes, he was just the head guy. Is he Sumiko? No, wait. That's not him. That's a lady. Taramasa? No. All right. Anyways, this guy says, like, hey, you had a chance to shoot him and you didn't. What's wrong with you, coward? So, but then like a boat comes, picks him up. And meanwhile, the guy hands Kyoichi like an envelope. He's like, oh, what is like a sort of mysterious envelope. But they get back to Tokyo, and of course, because of it's post-war or nearly post-war, Tokyo is destroyed. And then he gets
Wait, is it Tachibana?
Yes, I'm sorry. That's him. Thank you. I watched the movie. I swear. But so. Yeah, Tokyo is a mess. His parents, Kyoichi finds out his parents are dead in the bombings and everything.
Pedantic thing that it's Ginza is the city instead of Tokyo.
Oh, shit.
Did you really watch the movie?
This is all on Wikipedia. So, yeah, like it's he gets yelled at some more for not being, not doing his duty.
By his neighbor.
Yeah,
her children died during one of the bombings, so she's.
And that was us. That was the U.S. doing our bombing.
Yeah,
of those cities.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, it's war, and the Japanese did treat
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that, and they treated the Chinese horribly, and any American soldiers they captured, and they were always trained to treat their prisoners as not even human. So they, I mean, what we did was terrible, but what they did was pretty terrible too. And I'm just trying to put it all in
Yeah,
perspective.
war
I'm
is
not,
terrible.
it's like
Makes
war in
sense,
general.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just terrible. So
War is
On all
terrible.
sides.
Yeah,
so
everybody was
not-
shitty. It's
not that I'm saying that dropping, a nuclear bomb it was, you know what I'm saying. I'm trying to be
right.
fair.
No, I get it.
It's-
It was war.
But-
I think that, well, kind of the main point of this movie, especially as American viewers, like we get to see how how Japan responded to this like military action by Americans, and yeah, it was in war,
then
but like we don't see this side.
And it's also about how the Japanese government was basically treated their soldiers just like meat, just throw it out there, and just like good luck. They didn't give them proper weapons and protection. They were just like, to keep throwing guys at the other side.
Yeah, and you think that like, however, let's say it costs $1 million or $1 million or 20 million yen to make one of these fucking planes, the most effective use of that plane and that pilot and that pilot's training is to kill him and fucking wreck your plane.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
It's not a good strategy.
No.
Yeah. The interesting thing, I guess, too, a side note here, like World War II, we always were taught like sort of like, oh, the Nazis, they're terrible, or and they were obviously, like, I'm not defending Nazis, but like
they got the big headlines.
Yeah, right. But there was also
they were kind of more terrible.
You're right, exactly. So we're like, yeah, we're on the good side, like, but we did bad stuff too. I mean, everybody did bad stuff. So anyway, so there's this woman running through the street and she runs right at him. She hands him, she's carrying a baby. She hands it to him and then just like runs.
Because she's being chased by guys. They're like, stop, thief.
Yeah. So then he's like, what the hell do I do with this baby? So then the woman comes back and it's not hers. It was just in all the chaos and everything, she just kind of ended up with this baby. The other parents died, and so her name is Noriko. Got that one right. So they kind of like bond, and they're gonna kind of take care of this kid and whatever. And his neighbor who yelled at him earlier is like, fine, I'll help you take care of this baby.
Yeah, she's like, don't ask me for anything, but like it's all just it's just a front. She really does care, but
right.
And I think she's just happy to. Some people are just happiest when they're taking care of something, and I think that's this character in the film.
Yeah, and you're useful. It's something you can do that's good, in this time. So
the two main actors there, I mean, they don't really like. He's like, you can stay the night basically, and then the night kind of turns into like a couple days and a week, and then it's kind of like they're shacked up.
They are, but they're not.
But they aren't. But they haven't
but they've still become a family in a way. And the lead actors in this are on a TV show as well, so that's why they work quite well together.
Yeah, they definitely
They're on the equivalent of like a CW show or something.
Pretty much what
I don't mean that in a bad way either. It's like they're on a show and that everybody knows that they recognize them.
Oh. So, we have it a little bit. It does jump ahead a bit. They're still living together, and he says he comes home and he got a job clearing mines in the water, mines that were not exploded.
A specially designed boat for it.
Yeah, this is really cool. Like, and the crew that he works with are hilarious. I mean, I love these guys. Like, there's
Doc and the kid.
Yeah, the doctor and the kid and the other guy. Like, but you go out. He's like, the money's great, and you're in a wooden boat because they have to use like magnets to like pull the mines up, and then you shoot the mines. It's like a crazy thing. I mean, I'm sure it was real or based on real.
The mines were magnetic mines. I've been always trying to get you guys to do like a war movie, but they're magnetic mines.
I agreed to the Guns of Navarone. I've watched it twice since you suggested it.
Then we might have to do it, but the mines themselves are attracted to metal. So like
Right.
the
Or a
only
junky
thing
old
that
boat.
could
Yeah.
do it with these junky old boats, and they carry a line in between two boats, and it has a cutter in the middle of it, so that because they're wooden boats, they're not attracted to the mines, but they can catch them and kind of sneak them, and then they cut the thing, and then it comes popping out of the water. It's very cool. If that actually happens, that is cool. Or if the director or the writer,
Well, the
just
director
thought of
also
that,
did
also cool.
did World War II. I can't remember if it was a movie or a series. I think it was about the Yamato. So he has some knowledge on World War II. If you had asked me this stuff like 5 years ago, I would be like much better with all the World War II history stuff. But it's kind of
This movie hadn't come out 5 years ago.
No, I know.
If
I could just go back in time, grab myself from then, bring myself
Well,
here on the podcast.
It's important that the
that's what you would do with the time machine.
That's what I would do with the time machine. I mean, look at. I need your help. I know you just finished the series on the World War II, War in the Pacific, and you're really into the Japanese culture right now, and you could speak some of it. And Akira Takarada is your Japanese dad. Come on back into the future with me.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I keep thinking like all I think of when I think of time travel is how useless I would be to any technology that I could possibly invent. Yeah, I don't even know how a toilet works. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I would just go and buy like, the first appearance of Batman or something and come back and sell it for money. So the point of the whole thing is like Kyoichi is still very like coy about what he did in the war and stuff. Like he doesn't want to, but he's a good shot. So when they are able to bring the mines up to the surface, he can hit them with the gun. He's good at. So they're like,
because it's also
trained.
obvious. If he was a kamikaze pilot, it's like obvious. Like, why are you still alive?
Right,
you know
exactly. I mean? So he doesn't want to tell them.
I mean, they figure it out though.
Right.
Yeah.
And the kid is all gung ho because he wanted to be in the war, but he was too young.
Mm.
That's where.
And then he's like,
don't.
Man, I wish I could still be in the war. That would be so cool if it was still going. And he goes, don't ever say that again. And then the other guy goes, use your brain, kid.
The kid would be like a total dude, bro. If it was nowadays,
Yeah, he would probably die this was an American action movie or something. Yeah, so he has like a nightmare about Godzilla coming. There's a cool shot of like Bikini Beach, sort of awakening Godzilla, whatever.
Well, yeah. So I think that it's important, like when they do the time jump, because they like kind of do a time jump between when he first gets the job, and then it's like 1947, and then they show like kind of like a newsreel type thing about how they did the Bikini Atoll bombing, where we get Godzilla from. But yeah, so they show that they have a house. They like fixed up their house and made it all nice.
A real house.
A couple years later.
Junky,
yeah, and he's
and the little girl's
grinding away.
It's bigger.
Yeah, the girl,
the little girl
Akiko,
is super cute.
She's the cutest. And then they're all sitting around the table. It's like, why don't you put a ring on that thing, man?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, we are not married. And then the little girl goes, Daddy. And he goes, I told you, Akiko, I'm not your dad. And everybody's like, whoa.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
She doesn't know that. What's wrong with you, man? What the hell's wrong with you, man? This is the dub version I got. It was in Jive.
The clay dub.
It's like English and then it was like English and then Jive. Like right under it.
The Jive dub. So when they get to 1947, Noriko is like, I got a job. And like she's like, I'm gonna be able to move out on my own or whatever. And he's kind of like, he's like sad, even though
because she's kind of like, she says something like, well, you'll never get a wife if I'm around, but not in a shitty way. And just this is their lives. And I mean, I'm like so attached to these characters. You know what I mean? Like this is a really great fucking movie.
Rare
It's a great movie
where you are invested in the human characters.
Yeah, you don't fast forward over them like we used to do in the 80s. So there's like a montage of Godzilla attacking ships. He's headed for Honshu, and there's like a thing. Speaking of Americans or whatever, General MacArthur sent out this thing. Said, can't help you. Like, thanks.
We gotta
then-
fight the communists.
Yeah.
Yeah,
right.
then they address that later too on the boat. They're all talking. I was like, why aren't the Americans here for this? They're like, well, they
Yeah.
can't really, move around in this area of the Pacific because tensions are high with the communists.
Yeah. They find like a wrecked ship. Kyochi tells them about Godzilla, like his encounter with Godzilla, whatever, and like so they get these orders basically that hold them off, like hold Godzilla off. If you use the mines, you can like maybe subdue him or whatever.
This part,
And this is like a really cool scene.
It reminds me a little bit of Jaws in a way, where it's
Oh,
a few guys
definitely.
on a boat, and and
Yeah.
then the shark comes, kind of thing. So that was the vibe I was getting from it.
I'm sure
Yeah.
it wasn't very much intentional because I was thinking about how it was very Jaws-like anytime they were on that boat. Just them palling around and whatnot.
Yeah, and it is like, just a few guys on one boat against nature, the nature versus, man versus nature kind of thing. Yeah, so Godzilla, as Clay said, there's two ships out there, like, attached, because that's how they bring up the thing. Godzilla takes the other one out pretty quickly, and he's chasing after them, and they drop a mine, and they detonate it, and it doesn't hurt him. I mean, it hurts him maybe a little bit, but it doesn't, doesn't stop him. So
Yeah,
then
they
they're
show
like-
his mouth like fucking grow back. It's insane.
Yeah,
The special
pretty
effects in this are so good and so tight, and they
They
did it on
should have won an
such a
Academy
low
Award
budget.
for these effects.
Oh my god!
Well, they were nominated.
They did win. That was the joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
They did
I was
win.
like, wait, I thought they did, but I didn't
They did.
pick up on that.
They won.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, good on.
But yeah, so and now I had to. They're like, okay, like let's try to get the mine in his mouth, because he's like basically swimming along and his mouth is open. Like, okay, let's try that. They drop the mine and it doesn't detonate. So Kyochi gets up there and he's at the. It's kind of like at the beginning when he couldn't shoot, and now he's got to shoot, because if he shoots the mine, it'll blow up. And it does. It blows up in his mouth. He shoots it. It's amazing. Like, it's so
Yeah,
great.
that scene earlier, he did blow up one of the mines pretty easily after the other guy had already been doing it for a while, missed. He's like, let me show you how it's done. Bam. And then he's like, no, you gotta compensate for the waves moving around, and you have to. It's like be the ball, or like you gotta
It's the
shoot
Venetian
to where
tiger
the-
trap or some shit like that.
Yeah, where the
It's an
puck is in.
Firestarter podcast. So,
Yeah,
Begets.
I had something I was going to add to that. Sorry.
it'll come. Godzilla's
Oh, I know what I was
face-
going to say. After
good.
they blow up his face, after
Yeah.
if you for the rest of the movie, if you look at that spot where he regenerates, it's a different color.
Oh, see, the attention to detail
Oh.
is
Well, if
insane
you-
in this movie.
If you watch Godzilla X Kong New Empire, Kong
Which we did.
gets a spare tooth delivered to him by
And
a young
and a
man.
glove.
Yeah,
By a
and
young
and
man,
it-
a young man from Downton Abbey delivers him a new tooth. So what's different?
You're
What's
right.
different?
You're right. There's
It's-
nothing.
yeah.
different.
Okay.
Who's
The
who
part
did it
in
first?
the part in -1 where Godzilla gets the power glove, I thought was a little strange, but
That was a little weird, yeah,
I went with it.
They're under the
Nintendo Power
world,
Glove.
and then they're under the underworld. I remember Jessica kept saying that.
Middle Earth
It's
and then
like a
Middle
dance.
Earth, or whatever the hell it's called. Not
Even
Earth.
Middle Earth.
Yeah, even Middle Earth.
Two very different approaches to the intellectual property, if I might say so myself.
Yeah. So yeah, it blows up in his mouth. Yeah, and like it does regenerate. He's got his healing factor, I guess, his Wolverine healing factor. But he's, Godzilla's a little like, ow,
Quit it.
he's a little mad.
But that is this
Yeah,
where like
it's-
another ship comes, it's a battleship, and starts shooting
Yeah,
at
yeah,
him?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
like-
Well, I gotta just say this. I have to say this. I know this is like a serious movie and an intense movie, but there was always it always reminded me of when we were young. And John, you once said, I don't know why the Japanese don't just shoot a missile up Godzilla's butt.
I know. Don't worry. I said that to Mrs. Elder like 3 times last night. Like, don't shoot him in the mouth. Shoot him in the butt.
Shoot him up right up his
Shoot
butt.
a missile right in his ass.
I mean, it's hard not to think about that when you watch them put a mine
right
in his
up
mouth.
Main Street. Is that what people say? Right up Main Street. It's not even that long.
I mean, it's you now. I'll never not think of it, and now probably if anyone listens, which they won't, they'll think of it too.
I hope that's my gift to you, listener.
I gotta say, you guys, when everybody was talking about this movie, including you guys, I was like, I wonder if it's just a lot of people fucking, if it is like kind of like a little bit like boring. Like I'll go for, and I'm game for that. Like I
love
sit
boring.
through.
Yeah, boring.
No,
like that
but if
commercial.
it's like,
has anyone seen it?
yeah, but if I was like, oh, if it's like that different, then whatever. I'll sit through it. Maybe I expected there to be like 10 minutes of Godzilla in this movie. From the beginning.
There's not a lot.
And then I think there's
just
more
the
than
right
I
amount.
expected.
Don't
There's
get me
more than
wrong.
I expected from a human-centric movie based on Godzilla. Maybe I was satiated by him being on screen so quickly, but also I was like, yeah, I was like, now it's picking up. Yeah, at this point in the movie, I'm like, fucking, yay! What are they gonna do?
Yeah, no, this scene is what a great like action scene. So yeah, as John pointed out, a warship comes and he's shooting at Godzilla. And so it kind of, Godzilla's like, oh, well, screw you. I'm going to go after that, not this little wooden boat. What do I care? But yeah, they shoot it like point blank and Godzilla goes down under the water. And then this is one of the coolest things like ever. He shoots his fire from underneath and just blows that ship away.
Yeah, here's what Mrs. Elder said.
So good.
The part where he starts warming up for to shoot
Yeah.
the blast, and his dorsal fins are
Spikes.
popping up. And
Yeah.
she's like, has he always done that, like Pez on his back? Now that's all I'm thinking about. He's got a Pez back.
Now I can't not think of that.
Now I'm thinking we've
I got the missile up the
with
butt and the Pez on the back. So Godzilla, after he blows up that ship, he just leaves. And he's like, all right, that's enough.
He leaves
and
like
Kyoji-
he leaves like a total loss too. He's like, gump. He does this big. If he had a cape, it was like it looked like he had an invisible cape kind of thing. Turns and jumps back in the water and swims off.
It's like mic drop and I'm up.
Here's one more thing you'll now think about all the time. Because
Godzilla with a cape.
that, and because as he's swimming, he can't stand because the water's too deep. So he's essentially like treading water like a duck. So his little feet are
doggy paddling.
Yeah, but if he's standing up, if his like waist is out of the water and his hands are visible,
right?
He's obviously just with his feet.
That's amazing.
Which I think they kind of show in Godzilla All Monsters Attack, that one, which is one from the 2000s. I think there's a shot of him. You could see that's what he's doing. Little.
I guess his feet are big enough that he doesn't have to like do it too fast.
Yeah,
generate a lot of. Yeah.
But I just think that's funny that he's like.
That is kind of funny. He's kind of like a duck. So anyways, Kyoji had passed out from all the intensity. He wakes up in the hospital. His crewmates are there and they're like, hey, how you doing? They actually have a fun little discussion, kind of like we were talking about earlier. The government isn't saying anything about Godzilla. They're not telling the public. They're just like, oh yeah, they're sweeping under the rug, basically.
Yeah, and then he
typical,
finds out the other boat didn't make it because he doesn't know that.
Right. So yeah,
and he wrote this during the pandemic too. So some of that could be like a little bit of commentary on like what the government was saying and what they weren't saying, and you don't want them to panic and all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you're right. You're probably right. There was a lot of that in the air. I mean, I don't know. Do you want to say like, yeah, there was a giant monster dinosaur that killed that ship? I don't know. Anyway, so Kyoji,
prepared like they are in Monarch, they have the.
Well, that's true.
There are so many people with crazy conspiracy theories out there, half the people wouldn't believe that there was a giant monster anyway.
True.
That's right. So Kyoichi goes home and he actually confesses to Noriko that he was a kamikaze pilot. He did not do his duty. And there were a bunch of mechanics died on that island thanks to Godzilla. And she's nice.
His storyline is pretty depressing. Like where but I'm like, I'm not saying to be. I'm it's like you really feel for him because he's like, maybe he's like, I thought this was a dream, but with Godzilla and stuff, but maybe I haven't woken up. Maybe I'm dead or something already, and maybe you're the dream and stuff like that. And you just go, oh, your heart breaks.
Yeah, he gets a little physical with her. He's like, "Are you real?"
Yeah. Well,
maybe you could go pinch me. Maybe say pinch me. No,
my father suffered from PTSD after being in Vietnam and like had a few episodes like that. And my mother told me about where he woke up in the middle of the night and didn't know where he was and was just kind of thinking he was still in Vietnam. So,
yeah, I mean,
it's tough for these people.
Yeah, I mean, that generation especially, I mean, there wasn't a lot of
and
mental
the Japanese, too.
health.
The Japanese will never admit that something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sorry and ashamed.
Yeah. All right, so anyway, they're tracking Godzilla. He's heading towards Tokyo Bay. They had set up these mines. No effect. People are starting to evacuate, and then this train just goes flying. Like we don't even know.
That was the thing I noticed, that Godzilla really likes to throw things in this.
Just like
now, later on, he throws a ship.
Yeah, the ship just goes flying through the air.
Like,
the train's going flying. Noriko is on a train, and she sees Godzilla like the first time. And this is one of I wrote down. They play the music.
You play the music. I can even tell you which film they took this music from. I believe it's from King Kong versus Godzilla.
Oh, no kidding. Go back and listen to our King Kong versus Godzilla episode. Yeah. Dun, 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 dun.
Fun fact, knowledge drop that I'm gonna steamroll over. The Godzilla roar. The Godzilla roar is actually the 1954 roar that they played through loudspeakers outside and recorded that.
Clay, could you tell us how they made the roar in the first place? Go back and listen to whatever podcast that was.
We did the original 1954 Godzilla, so go back and listen to that. So yeah, he bites her train, and then he picks it up. He's probably getting ready to chuck it. I don't know. She hangs on, and she falls into the water. There's this news crew on the top of a building. They bite it.
Yeah, that's very very reminiscent to the original Godzilla, where there were a bunch of guys on I don't know if they were on the top of a building or if they were on a tower of some sort, and doing the same thing, reporting. And then Godzilla knocks him over. And I remember in that one, the guy's like, "Is this the end?" As he's falling to his death.
Yes,
yes, it is.
Yep, that's the end. So Kyoji finds Noriko, and they're just running for her, and the tanks are shooting Godzilla, and we get the spiky, the Pez.
The Pez effect.
Now.
Power up Pez.
It's so cool, the fire in this movie.
I don't know how those two. First of all, John, did you see Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning?
I did.
The newest one.
I did.
This train fight with her and Godzilla is much better than the train fight with Agent Carter.
Yeah.
In that movie, I just have to say that.
But
how did these two find each other so quickly?
I don't know. And all the chaos.
Just the movie. Look, you gotta just go with it. If you're gonna question that part and not be like, there's a giant monster, giant lizard shooting blue radioactive fire.
Why don't they just get Godzilla to play Godzilla?
Well, I think, he's pretty old now. He retired.
Got Pez on his back. Yeah, he is 70, by the way. We should mention this. He is now 70. Yeah, so this one, when he does the fire this time, it's like a nuclear bomb. It's like, like you would watch like those videos, like I guess it's kind of like Hiroshima, right? Yeah, like Oppenheimer, like Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And like there's like that, fallout or whatever, basically like concussion from the blast, and it's coming at them. Noriko shoves Kyochi out of the way, and she takes the blast, and she is knocked like a million miles away.
Yeah, you don't see her.
Yeah, she just boom, gone. Like buildings are falling, everything just.
She goes flying.
Yeah.
She goes flying. And also, to contrast this with a scene in another movie, this is also a way better city destruction than when the world engine was taking down Metropolis in Man of Steel.
I thought you were going to go with Independence Day. It's also better than that.
It's better than that.
Also
that was pretty. I mean, 96. That was pretty impressive. But yeah, this is very cool. Like this is very realistic.
Every effect in this thing is cool, and there's like nothing wrong with any of it. It's fucking done so well.
No, that's a good way to put it. There's nothing wrong with it.
For the budget that they did it on, because the original estimate I heard was 15 to 20 million, and then the director was like. Then the director was like 15 million. I wish, and so it's actually more like 10 or 12 million they did this for.
Yeah, it's like 10 or 12, and he was a video like a special effects guy. Yeah. So instead of sending it out, he just had a team of 34 people all in the same room basically, and he was there as the director, just making sure fucking shit was running tight. So they like kind of like saved multiple levels of management and like sending stuff out to some studio, wait for it to come back from Sunbow or whatever, it's like they didn't have to do that because he was just right there.
And these poor computer animators were probably well overworked and massively underpaid, like just about every VFX or animation. That's a big problem in Japan is animators actually are just like burning out and just like they can't do it because they're overworked and they don't make any money.
They should have some soup with some daikon.
So interesting. And I don't know. I don't want to rag on things, but so one thing I read, I don't know if you guys are watching The Acolyte, which
I've heard that's like one of the worst shows of all time. So
this latest episode was actually good, but the first 4, meh, especially the first 3. But anyway, I'm very enthusiastic. The budget for each episode of The Acolyte is like 15 million or 20 million, or it might be, I think it's like some of the episodes were like 20 million. And the budget for this whole movie was less than that. Half of that. Yeah. Like and look how much better. Like I was looking, so no offense again to The Acolyte. Well, all right, I might as well offend it because it's not great. But
what do you care, right?
there's this Wookiee. And I was like, that costume looks like it was bought at a Halloween store. Like, that's terrible looking. That looks so goofy. Where is this $15 million going? It doesn't even look good.
What didn't they do that in the cantina scene? Like, literally have like werewolf masks and stuff. Like,
but this is 2024.
Well, I will not to go off on a little thing here, but I'm actually kind of boycotting that show. I think we'll watch it. But I'm also watching Star Trek Discovery, and this season just sucks. And the special, that like you said, like the makeup looks cheap, and the stories are annoying. And then I keep hearing such bad things about The Acolyte. I'm kind of just like, and I'll just say I'm in no rush to watch it.
Right. Well, like I said, the episode that just aired yesterday. It was actually really good. There was all this Jedi and Sith fighting stuff, and it was really fun. But before that, I was like, just kind of hate watching it. But this one was good. Anyways, Godzilla, I love it. Kind of like earlier, he kind of looks around admiring his handiwork. He's destroyed the city, and he just kind of goes like, eh. He roars and goes.
It's a living.
And of course, Kyochi is pissed. His lady that he never put a ring on it, she is gone. And he's gone.
His parents are gone.
Yeah, everything.
Well, the interesting thing, one of the lines that he says, where they're like, "Why don't you marry her?" And he's like, "I can't. The war isn't over for me."
Right.
So
right.
He's still living a nightmare almost every day, and then when he finally starts feeling a little positive, then all this shit starts happening again. He's like, I'm never meant to be happy.
Yeah.
And in a way, I guess I'm no psychiatrist, certainly, but it's like protecting number one himself, but he's kind of protecting her from that too, or he's trying to. It's like, I don't want that because I'm not really.
Yeah,
like,
she
this
doesn't
isn't really my
deserve
bag, man. Yeah, like
Yeah,
she doesn't have to
deserve me.
see me Eeyoring around all day, you know.
But
Yeah,
also, you
is that a
want to
technical term,
Eeyoring.
too?
Yeah, I think Eeyoring is you are a psychiatrist.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
Part of the screenwriting, technique, and you just gotta make your characters. You gotta put them through.
Put the screws to him.
Yeah, you really gotta put them through hell. That's what they're doing. So yeah, in the aftermath, there's a lot of mourning. They're actually looking for pieces of Godzilla's flesh that might have come on to try to study him a little bit. Doc comes. He tells Kiyoshi he's part of the effort here. They came up with a way to stop Godzilla. He wants him at the meeting.
And it's important to note that it's not a government backed plan. It's all citizens.
These are just private
Citizens
town
on
meeting.
Patrol, just like what it was that a police.
4, Police Academy 4. I can't believe I remember that. So yeah, he wants him there. So they're gonna they have this whole plan. They have this meeting, and all these people they have this plan to use Freon tanks so that sink Godzilla to the bottom of the trench. And there's like, I love it. It's like grumbling, like townsfolk are just kind of grumbling. I think
it's cool, like that like little model he built and everything with the
it is
wooden
cool.
Godzilla and everything in it. It's like so.
You can see that little wooden model
cute.
It's on like a map too.
Yeah. It's what is it? I'm gonna say it wrong, but it's like kawaii, like that Japanese, like it's just cute.
Yeah, isn't that kawaii?
Isn't that kawaii?
So yeah, then if it doesn't crush him, they're gonna blow the Freon. It'll send him up fast, and they think that.
But what if that plan doesn't work? Well, then they've got the inflatable thingamajig,
right?
That'll he'll decompress on the way up or something,
right?
Well,
if he goes up fast enough,
it's a little weird.
I know, but it's kind of like I'm like, oh, this is literally every other Godzilla movie. They're like, shoot him with a nuclear bomb, like
just shoot him in the bum,
shoot him up his ass. But
yeah, at least there's some logic to it. I guess we'll try it this way.
And their plan is kind of similar to, I guess, where they got the roar in the first place. But they recorded his roar, and they're gonna use that with some speakers to attract him. Because
to make him think that there's another Godzilla,
another predator. Yeah. So
it's like when Bugs Bunny dresses up in drag.
Well, I was actually thinking more. They do something kind of similar in the Godzilla 1984 movie, where they talk about how he's sort of in sync with birds. So they use like a frequency that's the same as a bird call, and they use that to attract him to a volcano in that one. So it's a little similar.
Oh, there you go. It's Kiyoshi, because he was a pilot. They're gonna get a plane and sort of draw him in shallow water. Draw him in and drown him. But then, there's still a lot of this tension. He didn't marry Noriko, whatever. But they do find him a cool plane that was never deployed. Like, what do we do? How do we?
And we
need to get it ready.
I looked it up. I don't have it in front of me now, but that's a different kind of plane that was different than the one that he was flying. It's kind of basically. It's basically a more specialized, it's like the the F-16 versus the F-14.
It's a Kyushu J-7W Shinden fighter. So there you go. So
they got to figure out how to make this flight worthy. And so he looks up Takibana, the mechanic from the beginning. Got all mad at him. And he actually opens up the envelope, and it's or is it later? Did I already miss that? When he opened up the envelope?
It happened earlier. Okay. But
the envelope he gave had pictures of all the dead guys and their families. And
That's
everything.
what. Yeah, he handed them. That was when they were like leaving
They were
the
leaving Odo
mechanic
Island.
island. Yeah,
Right.
and he's like,
forgot about
he
that.
hands them a. He's like, look at this, and it's like all pictures of like all the people died and their families and stuff.
Yeah.
I was like,
Right.
well, yeah, why is this? Because I was thinking, how is this guy getting mail? You know, how, like in MASH, they were like always like be like mail call or whatever. Like, how is he getting mail? It's not mail. It's all the families of the dead people from before. But what he does to get the engineer involved is that he like sends out like all these like shitty like notes to like all these places where he thinks that he possibly could be, but he's kind of like an asshole. He's kind of like, it's your
he
fault.
says like, you were responsible for this or whatever. Yeah.
And he's like, well, I knew that's how I could find you, because when he shows up, he's mad. He beats him up.
Yeah, he beats him up.
Yeah, because he comes up from behind and hits him over the head with a baseball bat, and I thought that was kind of funny. Like when he shows him later, where he wakes up and he's all like, and he's like, oh, thank God it was you, because I was afraid I hit the wrong guy, because he just comes up behind him.
Yeah.
In the dark.
I mean, it was a weird. The technique worked. Anger, Yeah. Yeah. It's really funny. He's like, I need your help to fix this fighter or whatever. There is this one kind of weird. I don't know if this is not something you see in a lot of American movies. He always keeps like banging his head on tables and stuff. Like, I need you.
It's like he's like bowing. It's almost like anime-esque. It seems like, where that's like an anime character would do something like that. It's like they're so like, I'm begging, bam, right on the, this is how much.
Yeah, it's kind of like
really just smashed my face onto a table.
It's a different sort of like, it's an elevated sorry and ashamed.
Yes.
Like, I'm such an idiot. I'm gonna bang my head on the.
So yeah, they're gonna fix up this fighter. They're gonna put explosives all, they're gonna line it with explosives, and he says, I'm gonna fly it into his mouth. And that's gonna kill him. It's like
then Hibachi. What was his name? Not Hibachi.
Takibana.
Sorry. It's like, perhaps you might consider flying.
I just say engineer, Doc, Kid. I'm not even gonna try to say those names.
Oh well.
Kiko, I remember her name. She's cute.
Yeah. She's still around.
She's kawaii.
But he's gonna do it's gonna actually do like the kamikaze. So I guess he's like, yeah, well, let's do it, because you need to make up for it, I guess. I mean,
yeah, they're kind of
fine. I'll do it.
They're kind of antagonistic, but kind of, it comes around in the end. But they become BFFs, these two. But he helps him build the plane back up, and it'll be ready for the mission tomorrow and stuff.
Short time, because they predict that Godzilla would come back ashore within 10 days.
Yeah, they only have a few days.
And the other thing I want to mention too is that the plan where they sink him down so that he dies when they decompress him has to be a very particular spot in the ocean.
Right.
So
trench that is deep enough.
So part of the reason to get this plane going is to lure him out to that area.
To that area. So yeah, they're in the meeting room. They find out Godzilla is on his way. And I like Doc gives this nice motivational speech. Talks a lot about the war, like, now we have a chance, to do right. And
a couple of the Navy guys are like, we want in. And like, Doc's like, I can't.
He said, is this like a suicide mission? Is there like 0% chance we'll live? And he's like, no. And he's like, well, that's better than we had in the military.
Right. It was a 0% chance.
They didn't show the high five that was off screen.
No, they didn't. The kid wants to go, but he's got like a bad arm, and they kind of, obviously, because they're like, no, you're not well, you're not healthy, and you can't go. And he's like, no, come on.
I want to serve my country.
Yeah, and they're like, no, but they're trying to save him. They're like, yeah, come on, you're young, live your life.
Protecting him as well. A lot of people looking out for each other.
So they have like a lot of nice, like, sort of sweet moments. Takibana and they cut him off, but he's like telling him about the plane. And he's like, and here's something, but they cut it off. And then they show Kyoji hanging out with Akiko. But he doesn't say like, hey, I'm going to go kill myself now. He just kind of, he gives a bunch of money to his neighbor the woman yelled at him earlier to look after Kiko. So they show the ships using the Godzilla roar, which is really cool. And then they find him, and they're like, "Okay, gotta get like." The boat just goes flying, like we talked about. There's the boat goes flying through the air. We're like, okay,
Godzilla's around. That's the sign.
Yeah, whoa! It's like a gigantic boat too, and it flies so far.
I know, it's awesome. So Kyoji gets in the plane, they fly out there. They're gonna do the plan. Meanwhile, they cut back to the neighbor lady. They just call her like the aunt, I guess, whatever. But she gets a telegram. We don't know what it says, but she's shocked. But cut back. Godzilla shoots his fire. Comes after, like he's following Kyoji. It's working. Like, get the Freon thing ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
And it's got this decoy. They have this like decoy ship. So he blows that up with his fire, and then they're like, he has to recharge. We have a chance. And then we play the trick. Dun, dun,
There you go.
I love it. Then they circle around him. These two ships, they wrap him in like the Freon tanks, I guess. I guess they're tanks.
Yeah.
So he's starting to charge again, and they're like, hit it. And then the Freon works. It sinks him. And the spikes go out, like the Pez. Pez go out. And they're like, oh my God, it's working. And the ships are like shaking, and they're trying to, and then they're like, oh God, quick, we got to use the thing to raise him quickly. And he's going up. They have like a depth thing, the number, and then it just stops. Because he bit through his like floating.
Oh yeah, because it comes to the surface.
Yeah. Like, whoops.
I was like, that's like my cat too. She would do the same.
I just bite it.
Yeah, just chew right through.
So they're like, quick, we can use the ships, and like they're trying to pull him up with just the cranes and the ships. Yeah. And the crane breaks because Godzilla's, kind of fat, I guess.
And then Henry the Red shows up.
Well, the kid from earlier, the kid that they wouldn't let go on the mission, he rallied a bunch of ships, and all the ships are pulling. And then Godzilla does reach the surface, and he is not happy.
It's like Dunkirk. He's like, look, I got all these boats together.
Yeah. So then Godzilla, the Pez starts glowing again. He's getting ready. They do that kind of shot. They show all the guys, the doc and everybody, and they're kind of looking sad. And then Kyoji comes, and he flies, and he pulls this lever right before he hits him right in the mouth.
Right.
And the thing.
I always think of Strong Bad, where he's like, oh, right in the face.
And it blows. The plane blows because he had all the bombs in it. And Godzilla's slowly sinking.
It blows up.
Yeah. I mean, it's it looks real.
He starts doing that thing where like all the atomic breath is coming out of like different parts of his body, just like sort of like in a Tom and Jerry cartoon where they get shot like gun and then they go
take a glass of water.
Yeah, and then all the water spills out all the holes. It's like that, except like cool, not meant to be funny.
Cool. It is cool because it is kind of like Jaws, like the shot in Jaws with the Jaws: The Revenge. I mean.
Oh yeah, naturally, because it's the same shot reused from the first Jaws.
Right. It's not Jaws: The Revenge podcast. But the cool thing here is that Kyoji ejected. The sort of like one more thing that they cut him off was an ejector seat, and he's in his parachute. He didn't commit suicide.
He didn't die.
And they're all happy.
Yeah, because they were even earlier saying like, he's got a Kiko and everything. I mean, what's he gonna do?
Yeah. So they all salute him. It's great. Like, it's cool because, originally they were like, you coward. And now they're like, yeah, you didn't kill yourself.
You're the best.
Great. Yeah. And he stopped Godzilla, which is
he's kind of
very cool.
In a way. Yeah, he should have been in that planning meeting because he's the only real expert with real life experience with Godzilla. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna be the Godzilla czar or whatever. You know what I mean? He knows the most.
Well, yeah. Now that was the reason Doc was put in charge there a little because he had that experience out there on the boat. But yeah, Kyoji has more experience or a little more. So yeah, they're waiting for him. There are these people waiting for him when he gets back because the telegram that the neighbor lady received said that Noriko is alive. And then she whacks him for some reason. Why did she punch him? She's like, she's alive, and she starts hitting him.
But she hits him just because, like, you should have asked that girl to marry.
You big dope. Yeah,
you
marry me.
Yeah. It's a you big dope slap.
I know. It's just
you galoot.
They reunite and they live happily ever after.
Except for the weird animated thing on her neck. The black.
Yeah, she's got
weirdness.
like the goop from the Alien movie, Prometheus.
Or is it Venom? Is she like?
Yeah, she's Carnage? Venom. And they kind of have like, yeah, they show that thing, the happily family reunited, but then they do the cool flashback to the engineer showing that I put this thing into you for you, this ejector seat. So they waited for that reveal to be at the end, which was nice because otherwise,
it's a very nice. Pull it. But then there is one more. The sinking as Godzilla's carcass is sinking. It's the little things like there's little globs that start sort of growing as we mentioned earlier, sort of healing factor kind of thing. So
yeah, and then they play the song again.
They just for me.
Yeah,
they do the music. So I mean,
yay!
I'm thinking another, Godzilla Minus One sequel or whatever in this universe. I mean, I'm hoping.
I hope so too. It'd be great.
They left it open. Why not?
Right? Why not?
They left it open at the end of Shin Godzilla and never followed that up with something kind of similar, where there were like human forms growing out of his tail at the end.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So yeah, you think Noriko has some kind of like thing going on there?
Yeah, I'm thinking that's how she survived. Is that
she's part Godzilla now?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, because she should have been dead.
Dead.
But whatever. We'll worry about that next time. Awesome movie.
Yes. All right, what did the random generator say? Who goes first?
Oh, I forgot. I didn't even do it. Random. Oh man. We don't have to. I don't know.
We'll just say, let's give our ranking, our score rather.
I feel like they're all going to be kind of the same.
Pretty much.
Grade. Yeah.
D.
Yeah. That's right.
I give it a G for Godzilla.
Yeah. Give it an ironic A. An ironica. No.
It gets an A from me.
Yeah. Me too. And I feel like we're all, maybe not. I don't know. At least maybe John and I don't see as many movies as I used to in the theaters, especially. And I wish I did. I like going out to the movies still. I know you say I hate it. It sucks. I never have a good experience. But I do like going to the movies, but I haven't. This was the last. Oh no, we saw Godzilla.
You only see Godzilla
my birthday
in the theater now.
Yeah, right.
And I saw Minus One for my birthday. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but
I wish I had. But I waited, and I was glad that I waited. And I also give it an A. Am I gonna give it an A plus? I don't know.
Well, this was the kind of movie I think I remember seeing trailers or whatever, and I was like, oh, that looks fun. And I thought maybe John and I this will be a good excuse, or three of us can get together and watch this movie. And it never really amounted to anything because it wasn't playing everywhere, but the reviews were good. You know what I mean? There was this sort of groundswell.
Yeah,
and then finally,
Tomato score was in the 90s, the high 90s.
Yeah,
long time. I don't know what it ended up being in the end, but it was still.
I don't either. There was
well received.
There was actually a funny quote because for a while it was 100. It got no reviews from critics, and then finally somebody left a bad review, and the director left he posted on Twitter. He said, "Finally, somebody doesn't like." He thought it was weird that nobody. But he's kind of an LOL kind of thing. But yeah,
got a consensus 98 across the board.
That is just how many movies score that high?
That's why I was gonna say I kind of want to give it an A plus. I mean, everything about the movie was so good. And there was a train fight, World War II shit, political stuff,
all of your
good actors. Like I was actually really compelled and attached to all of those characters because I was like, yeah, that engineer is like kind of right too, to be like, you fucking pussy, you couldn't fucking blow up Godzilla, all those people are dead. He's right, but then they have a redemption arc. Like the whole thing was fucking awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the movie is so well made. It's paced perfectly. Like I had kind of forgotten, like when I was watching it, a few days ago. Like I was like, oh, like it moves really well. It flows perfectly.
Even
Great.
parts that don't have a lot going on, it never feels like it's dragging to me.
Yeah, absolutely. It is
because I'm invested in all the characters.
Right, but they don't linger, on anything too much. They don't overdo anything. It's all
just the right amount.
Yep.
And the opposite of, and it's really apples and oranges. I'm not even really comparing the two movies, but if you have all of this CGI, whatever, in Godzilla X Kong, right? But these guys were like, they kind of like ran a really tight ship to keep it under budget. They only had one setup for any of the boat scenes. They did a lot of stuff in green screen and CGI. There was 3 different ships in the oceans and new reaction shots from them. They just shot it 3 different times with like 3 different groups of actors. So like they just like really, there was like kind of a like Japanese like precision to the movie. And I mean, you kind of think of, James Gunn and doing Superman or whatever. Like, when somebody gets to make a Godzilla movie that really cares about it, or it's like Doctor Who or something. It's like, oh, I finally get to direct an episode of Doctor Who. It's like so ingrained in my life. And he just makes a perfect fucking Godzilla movie. It's just fucking great.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Garrett Edwards, who made the 2014 Godzilla, I'll go back and listen to that. He was jealous, apparently. He got invited to like a special screening. And he was like mad or jealous. Like, he's like, this is what a Godzilla movie is supposed to be. Even his own, Godzilla movie, which is good. Like, doesn't really compare.
Yeah.
I mean, so I thought that was a funny quote.
Godzilla is a Japanese product, and outsiders just can't. As much as you could get close, you'll never fully get it as an outsider of Japan. Only the Japanese people really understand what it's like to be Japanese and what Godzilla means to them and their society,
right?
What he represents. Yeah. So
it's not just a big monster, it's what he represents.
And how you can have like a take where you kind of like Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of in a way like go like, remember those old movies and there was all the Japanese scientists running around in white coats? What actually happens to them like during the day? What is actually it? Those people all live their lives. Like if this was like really things that happened, it's like super like this movie's almost like hyper realistic, but in a good way. It's like here we have all these Navy people that you might have seen in 10 other Godzilla movies, but it's like how are those people actually interacting with each other and like like how are they helping each other? It's just fucking so badass. This movie rules.
It really does. And there's so much to it. There's a lot of depth. Like, then what did those people do after the war? They went and got paid to like blow up mines in the, out on the sea. I mean, what a crazy, like, I don't know. It is a great story, but it's also the Godzilla parts are awesome. It's the best of both worlds. Hermaphroditic porn. Like in Clerks. Sorry, I had to go there. But it is a great.
I was going to go there too.
Oh, good. Yeah, I mean, it is just, I forget what I gave the 2014 Godzilla, but this movie is just better. Like, I don't mean he should be jealous. That was a great movie. This movie is way better.
It is way better, which is.
We're on the side of Gareth Edwards.
Yeah, which is not to say that the Gareth Edwards movie is bad. It's just that this just gets everything right. The Gareth Edwards movie does have a lot of parts in it that slow everything down.
Wow, this is it. We don't even all A's. A. Triple A. Called Triple
I think you got
A.
technically have 2 A's and an A plus. I'm just giving it an A plus.
All right. I don't know. I guess I give A pluses. Did I ever give an A plus to a movie in all these?
Once, maybe. Was it Casino Royale you did, or did I?
Maybe. Possible. What is the difference? A plus.
I feel like if we were viewing this movie right after I saw it in the theater, it would be an A plus. This time, I don't know what it was that my enthusiasm wasn't quite as high. Maybe it's because I was watching the dub version.
I mean, I feel a little bad. I did give Clay a little bit of shit. The dub version is fine. I actually watched the dub version also this last time.
Well, and neither one of us had. I also gave myself shit. I was like, I'm not gonna. I watched it for 5 minutes. And I was like, this isn't right. This doesn't sit right with me. This doesn't sit well with me. So then I did try it. And, enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I think it's whichever version you're gonna watch. I think you'll enjoy it. I think that's all we have.
It all. Unfortunately, it has it all. Like, because I'm not as big of a Godzilla head as you guys are. This is just is good movie. You know.
Badass Godzilla is good ass movie.
Yeah, and you can shoot the missile up his ass.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see if they can. I don't know. The one thing I would say, if they do another one, obviously I'm there for it. But like, how do you top this? You know,
you put it in the 1960s instead.
I think that would be cool. You know,
another period piece would be great.
Yeah,
if you talk about it, didn't make like something like $150 million versus the 15 million budget or something like that. I mean,
yeah, it did really well internationally. So yeah.
So
I'm sure the offer's on the table. I'm writing up one right now.
All right,
dear
good.
Sir.
Good. And then
you come and do the legendary movies too. Thanks.
Yeah, right. Well, thanks for listening, by the way, and thanks to you for listening. Don't forget to check us out, leaguepodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts, and check us out on YouTube. Follow us, like, subscribe, all the things over there, and we will talk to you soon.
Sayonara.